Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Going to continue our reading from chapter 19 of lila of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. Mahāprabhu instructs Rūpa Gosvāmī. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Deen-tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hariyam Tatsa. Verse 167. Anya bhilashita shunyam jnana karmadya anavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. When first class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires. Knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy and fruitive action, the devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. Mukam karoti vachalam vachalam pangum langhayate girim kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Deen-tarinam Paramananda Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hariyam Tatsa. Purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This verse is also found in Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. As we can understand from the Bhagavad-Gita 9.34 and 18.65, the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants everyone to think of Him always man mana bhav mat bhaktoha. Everyone should become His devotee, not the devotee of a demigod. Everyone should engage in His devotional service, including archana, which is deity worship in the temple, man mana bhav mat bhakto mat yaji mam namaskuru. Everyone should offer obeisances from moment to moment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are the desires of the Supreme Lord, and one who fulfills his desires favorably is actually a pure devotee. Krishna wants everyone to surrender unto Him, and devotional service means preaching this gospel all over the world. The Lord says openly in the Bhagavad-Gita 18.69, Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priya kritamaha. One who preaches the gospel of the Bhagavad-Gita for the benefit of all it is most dear to Krishna. The Bhagavad-Gita is spoken by Lord too, so that human society can be perfectly organized from all angles of vision, politically, socially, economically, philosophically, and religiously. From any point of view, human society can be reformed by the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, one who spreads this philosophy of Krishna consciousness for the benefit of all conditioned souls in the universe is perfect in devotional service, pure devotional service. The criterion is that a devotee must know that what Krishna wants him to do. This understanding can be achieved through the medium of a spiritual master who is bona fide representative of Krishna. Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī advises Adav Gaurav Guru Ashram, one who is serious in wanting to render pure devotional service to the Lord must take shelter of a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession from Krishna. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo viduhu. Without accepting a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession, one cannot find out the real purpose of devotional service. Therefore, one has to accept the shelter of bona fide spiritual master and agree to be directed by him. The first business of a pure devotee is to satisfy his spiritual master, whose only business is to spread Krishna consciousness. And if one can satisfy the spiritual master, Krishna is automatically satisfied. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasadaha. This is the success of devotional service. This is the meaning of the word anukulena, that is, favorable devotional service to the Lord. A pure devotee has no plans other than those for the Lord's service. He is not interested in attaining success in mundane activities. He simply wants success in the progress of devotional service. For a devotee, there cannot be worship of others or demigod worship. A pure devotee does not engage himself in such pseudo-devotional service. He is interested only in satisfying Krishna. If one lives only for the satisfaction of Krishna, it does not matter whether he belongs to this order of life or that order of life. One's only business should be to satisfy Krishna. This process is completely manifest in the activities of the Krishna consciousness movement. It has been actually proved that the entire world can accept devotional service without failure. One simply has to follow the instructions of the representative of Krishna. Verse number 168. Anya vancha anya puja chhadi jnana karma anukulye sarvendriye Krishna no Śrīla. A pure devotee must not cherish any desire other than to serve Krishna. He should not offer to worship to the demigods or to the mundane personalities. He should not cultivate artificial knowledge which is devoid of Krishna consciousness, and he should not engage himself in anything other than Krishna conscious activities. One must engage all one's purified senses in the service of the Lord. This is the favorable execution of Krishna conscious activities. Verse 169. E Shuddha Bhakti Iha Haite Premahaya Pancharatre Bhagavate E Lakshanakaya. These activities are called Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. If one renders such pure devotional service, he develops his original love for Krishna in due course of time. In Vedic literatures like the Pancharatras and Srimad Bhagavatam, these symptoms are described. But one has to develop his devotional service under the directions of a pure devotee, the spiritual master, and in accordance with the Vedic directions given in the Pancharatra Bhagavad system. The Pancharatra system includes methods of temple worship, and the Bhagavad system includes the spreading of Krishna conscious philosophy through the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam and the discussion of philosophy with people who are interested. Through discussion, one can create an interest and understanding of the Pancharatra and Bhagavad systems. Verse 170. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the Master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. Purport: this verse quoted from the Narad Pancharatra is found in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.1.12, verse number 171. Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashe Manogatir Avichinna Yatha Gangam Bhaso Mabudhav. Just as the celestial waters of the Ganges flow unobstructed into the ocean, so when my devotees simply hear of me, their minds come to me. I reside in the hearts of all. Purport: this verse and the following three verses are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.29.11 to 14. They were spoken by Lord Krishna in the form of Kapil Deva. Verse 172. Lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hi udaritam ahetuki avyavahita ya bhakti purushottame. These are the characteristics of transcendental loving service to Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is causeless and it cannot be obstructed in any way. Verse 173. Salokya sarishti samipya sarupai katvam api uta diyamanam na grihananti vina matsevanam janah. My devotees do not accept Salokya, Sarishti, Sarupya, Samipya or oneness with me, even if I offer these liberations in preference to serving me. Verse 174. Sa eva bhakti yogakya atyantika udharitah yena tivrajaya trigunam mat bhavaya yo papadyate. Bhakti yoga is described above is the ultimate goal of life. By rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one transcends the modes of material nature and attains a spiritual position on the platform of direct devotional service. Verse 175. Bhukti mukti adi vancha yadi mane haya sadhana karile prema utpanna na haya. If one is infected with a desire for material enjoyment or material liberation, he cannot rise to the platform of pure loving service to the Lord. Unto the Lord, even though he may superficially render devotional service according to the routine regulative principles. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that if one maintains within his heart the desire to enjoy the result of good work or being embarrassed by the material world, the desire to get out of material entanglement, one will never be able to attain the transcendental mellows of devotional service. In other words, one must not desire material profit when rendering devotional service. Even if one follows all the 64 regulative principles, he cannot attain pure devotional service with a contaminated heart. Verse 176. Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishachi ridhi vartate tavat bhakti sukhasyatra katham abhyudayo bhavet. The material desire to enjoy the material world and the desire to become liberated from material bondage are considered to be two witches, and they haunt one like ghosts. As long as these witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss? As long as these two witches remain in the heart, there is no possibility of enjoying the transcendental bliss of devotional service. Purport. This verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.22. Verse 177. Sadha bhakti haite haya rati ara udaya rati gadha haile tara prema nama kaya. By regularly rendering devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the attachment is intensified, it becomes love of Godhead. Purport. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.22 gives the following information about sadhana bhakti. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana bhida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam riddhi sadhyata. The process of devotional service beginning with chanting and hearing is called sadhana bhakti. This includes the regulative principles that are intended to awaken one to devotional service. Devotional service is always dormant in everyone's heart, and by the offenseless chanting of the holy names of the Lord, one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. This awakening to Krishna consciousness is the beginning of sadhana bhakti. This can be divided into many different parts, including faith, association with devotees, initiation by the spiritual master, engagement in devotional service under the instructions of a spiritual master, steadiness in devotional service, and the awakening of a taste for devotional service. In this way, one can become attached to Krishna and his service, and when this attachment is intensified, it results in ecstatic love for Krishna. The word rati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.3.41 as follows. Vyaktam masrina devantar lakshate rati lakshanam mumukshu prabhritanam ched bhaved esha ratir nahi. When a tenderness of the heart is manifested, there is rati or attachment, but those who are interested in being liberated from the material bondage will not manifest this tenderness. This attachment is not like material attachment. When one is free of material contamination, attachment for Krishna's service awakens and is called rati. In the material world, there is attachment for material enjoyment, but this is not rati. Transcendental rati can be awakened only on the spiritual platform. Ecstatic love for Krishna, prema, is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.41 as follows. Samyan masrinita swanto mama tavati shayaniktah bhavah sa eva sandaratma buddhaya prema nigadyate. When the heart is completely softened and devoid of all material desires, and when one's emotional feelings become very strong and becomes very much attached to Krishna, such purified emotion is known as pure love. Verse 178. Prema vriddhi krame nama sneha mana pranaya raganuraga bhava mahabhava haya. The basic aspects of prema, when gradually increasing to different states, are affection, abhorrence, love, attachment, further attachment, ecstasy, and great ecstasy. Purport. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2.84, Sneha affection is described as follows. Sandrash chitta dravam kurvan prema sneha itiryate kshani kshayapi neha syad vishleshya sahishnuta. That aspect of prem in which the melting of heart for the lover is concentrated is called sneha or affection. That the symptom of such affection is that the lover cannot for a moment remain without the association of the beloved. A description of mana can be found in Madhya Lila, chapter 2, verse 66. Similarly, a description of pranay is also there. As far as rag is concerned, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2.87 says, Sneha sarago yena syat sukham dukham api svutam tat sambandha lave api atra pritihi prana vyayir api. That stage at which affection for the beloved converts unhappiness into happiness is called raga or attachment. When one has such attachment for Krishna, he can give up his own life to satisfy his beloved Krishna. Anurag Bhav and Mahabhav are described in the 6th chapter of the Madhya Lila, verse 13. The purport to that verse explains Adhirudha Mahabhav. Verse 179. Yaiche bija ikshu rasa guda khanda sar sharkara sita michuri uttam michuri are. The gradual development of prema may be compared to different states of sugar. First there is the need for the sugar cane, then sugar cane and the juice extracted from the cane. When this juice is boiled, it forms liquid molasses, then solid molasses, then sugar, candy, rock candy, and finally lozenges. So such a beautiful description. Verse 180. Esaba Krishna Bhakti Rasera Sthai Bhava Sthai Bhave Mile Yadi Vibhava Anubhava. Vibhav is special ecstasy and Anubhav is sub-ecstasy. Sthai Bhave is continuous ecstasy of ecstasy. All these stages combined are called Sthai Bhav or continuous love of Godhead in devotional service. In addition to these stages, there are Vibhav and Anubhav. Purport: attachment for Krishna never wanes, it increases more and more as one attains different stages. All the stages together are called Sthai Bhav or continuous existence of ecstasy. The 9 forms of devotional service are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. When continuous love of Godhead is mixed with the process of devotional service, it's called Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik and Vyabhichari. The devotee thus enjoys a variety of transcendental bliss. In his Amrit Prabha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Anubhav can be divided into 13 categories: dancing, rolling on the ground, singing, yelling, jumping, making loud noises, yawning, heavy breathing, not caring for public opinion, discharging saliva, roaring laughter, unsteadiness, and hiccuping. These are the symptoms of Anubhav. Thus the transcendental mellows are experienced in different stages. Similarly, there are many other forms of expression that have been analytically studied by the Gosvāmīs. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rūpa Gosvāmī gives each and every symptom a particular name. Verse 181. Satvik Vyabhichari Bhavera Milane Krishna Bhakti Rasa Haya Amrit Aswadane. When the higher standard of bhakti, ecstatic love is mixed with the symptoms of Satvik and Vyabhichari, the devotee relishes the transcendental bliss of loving Krishna in a variety of nectarian tastes. Verse 182. Yaiche Dadhi Sita Grita. Sita is sugar candy. Maricha Karpura Milane Rasala Hai Amrita Madhura. Maricha black pepper and Karpura is the camphor. These tastes are like combinations of yogurt, sugar candy, ghee, which is clarified butter, black pepper and camphor, and are as palatable as sweet nectar. Verse 183. Bhakta Bhede Rati Bheda Pancha Prakara Shanta Rati Dasya Rati Sakya Rati Ara Vatsalya Rati Madhura Rati A Pancha Vibheda Rati Bhede Krishna Bhakti Rase Pancha Bheda. According to the devotee, the attachment falls within the 5 categories of Shantarati, Dasyarati, Sakyarati, Vatsalarati, and Madhurarati. These 5 categories arise from devotees' different attachments to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The transcendental mellows derived from devotional service are also of 5 categories of varieties. Purport: Shantarati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.16 to 18 as follows: Manase nirvikalpatvam sama iti abhidhiyate. When one is completely free from all doubts and material attachments, he attains the neutral position called Shanta. Vihaya Vishayon Mukhyam Nijananda Sthir Yataha Atmana Kathayate Sotra Atra Vabhava Shama Iti Asau Prayaha Shama Pradhananam Mamata Gandha Varijita Paramatmatya Taya Krishne Jata Shanti Ratir Mata. The Shantarati realization of Krishna is in this neutral stage between the conception of impersonalism and personalism. This means that one is not very strongly attached to the personal feature of the Lord. An appreciation of the greatness of the Lord is called Shantarati. This is attachment not to the personal feature but to the impersonal feature. Generally, one on this stage is attached to the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riti Desha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rurahani Mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as in a machine made of material energy. Bhagavad-Gita 18.61. On the strength of the statement from the Bhagavad-Gita, we can understand that in the Shantaras, a devotee sees the Lord's representation everywhere. Dasya Rati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.27. Thus, Swasmad Bhavanti Ne Nyunas Te Anugrahya Harer Matah Aradhyat Vatmika Tesham Ratihi Pritir Itirita Tatra Sakti Krid Anyatra Priti Samharini Hi Asau. When the Supreme Lord is in his localized aspect is appreciated and a great devotee understands his subordinate position, not only does he surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but due to his subordinate position, he wishes to render some service and thus becomes favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee in Shantarati is not very much willing to render service to the Lord, but a devotee in Dasarati voluntarily wants to render service. Due to this attitude, the devotee in Dasarati realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead more fully than a devotee in Shantarati. He considers the Lord to be a worshipable object, and this means that the attachment for the Lord increases. Thus, Dasarati is characterized as Bhakti Pareshanubhavo Viraktir Anyatracha, Bhagavatam 11.2.42. In other words, on the Dasarati platform, a devotee is attached to rendering service to the Lord and he is detached from material activities. Shantarati is neither material nor spiritual, but Dasarati is actually on the spiritual platform. There is no attachment for material things on the spiritual platform. Viraktir Anyatracha, a devotee in Dasarati has no attachment for anything but Krishna's service. Sakyarati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.30 as follows: Yes yu satulya mukundasya te sakhayah satam mataha samyat vishrambha rupaisham rati sakhyam ihochyate. According to the opinion of advanced devotees and learned scholars, a devotee in Sakyarati feels equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a relationship in friendship. Due to having friendly relationship with the Lord, not only one is free from material attachment, but one believes in equal dealings with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Sakyarati. The Sakyarati devotee is so advanced that he treats the Lord on an equal level and even exchanges joking words with him. Although one is never equal to Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sakyarati devotee feels equal to the Lord and he does not feel guilty because of this. Although one is never equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sakyarati devotee feels equal to the God and he does not feel guilty because of this. Usually it is offensive to consider oneself equal to the Lord. The Mayavadis, for example, consider themselves equal to the Lord, but such feelings entail bereavement because they are material. Sakyarati, however, is a feeling experienced in the mind by pure devotee and is eternally related with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that feeling. Vatsalyarati is described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.33. Guravo ye harer asyate pujya iti vishrutaha Anugraha mai tesham ratir vatsalyam uchyate idam lalana bhavishyasi chibuka sparshanadi krita. When a living entity is situated on the platform of Vatsalyarati, he thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his childhood feature. In this feature, the Lord has to be protected by the devotee, and at this time the devotee takes the position of being worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These feelings of parental love are called Vatsalyarati. When the devotee is situated on this platform, he wants to maintain the Lord like a son, and he desires all good fortune for the Lord. He offers blessings to the Lord by touching his feet and head. Madhurarati, or attachment in conjugal love, is described as follows: Mitho harer mrigakshash cha sambho gasyadi karanam madhurapara paryayaya priyata khyoditah ratih asyam kataksha bhrukshep priyavani smitadayah. Madhurati, the conjugal relationship experienced by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the young damsels of Vrajabhumi, continuously exists in 8 kinds of remembrances. These intimate relationships brought about by the conjugal love produces movements of the eyebrows, glancing sweet words, and exchanging of the joking words. Verse 185, Shanta Dasya Sakhya Vatsalya Madhur Rasa Nama Krishna Bhakti Rasa Madhye E Pancha Pradhan. The chief transcendental mellows experienced with the Supreme Personality of Godhead are 5: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhur. Purport: Shanta Bhakti Rasa is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.1.4 to 6 as follows: Vaksha Maner Vibhavadiyeh Shaminam Swadhyatam Gatah Sthai Shanti Ratir Dhirah Shanta Bhakti Rasah Smritih Prayah Swasukha Jatiyam Sukham Syad Atra Yoginam Kintu Atma Saukhyam Aghanam Ghanam Tva Isha Mayam Sukham Tatrapisha Swarupanu Bhavasya Avirau Hetuta Dasadi Van Manojnatva Lilader Na Tatha Mata. When Shantrati, neutral attraction, exists continuously and is mixed with ecstatic emotion, and when the devotee relishes that neutral position, it's called Shanta Bhakti Rasa. Shanta Bhakti Rasa devotees generally relish the impersonal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since their taste of transcendental bliss is incomplete, it is called aghana, or not concentrated. A comparison is made between ordinary milk and concentrated milk. When the same devotee goes beyond the impersonal and tastes the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form as Satchidanand Vigraha, his transcendental blissful body, complete in knowledge and eternity, the taste is called concentrated ghana. Transcendental bliss. Sometimes the devotees in Shantarasa relish transcendental bliss after meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this is not comparable to the transcendental bliss relished by the devotee situated in Dasyaras, the transcendental mellow in which one renders service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dasyarasa or Dasya Bhakti Rasa is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2.3 to 4 as follows: Atmo Chittair Vibhava Vadeih Pritir Aswadaniyatam Nita Chetasi Bhaktanam Priti Bhaktaraso Matah Anugrahit Asya Dasatval Lalayatvad api ayam dvidha vidhyate sambram prito gaurav prita iti api. When, according to his desires, the living entity develops love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this beginning stage of love is called Dasya Bhakti Rasa. Dasya Bhakti Rasa is divided into 2 categories called Sambhrama Dasya and Gaurav Dasya. In Sambhrama Dasya, the devotee renders respectful service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the more advanced Gaurav Dasya, the devotee feels he is receiving protection from the Lord. Sakhya Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.3.1 Sai Bhavo Vibhavadeha Sakhyam Atmochitter Iha Nitas Chitte Satam Pushtim Rasaha Prayan Udiryate. According to one's original consciousness, ecstatic emotions may be exhibited as continuously existing in fraternity. When this stage of Krishna consciousness is mature, it is called Preyo Rasa or Sakhya Bhakti Rasa. Vatsalya Bhakti Rasa is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.4.1 as follows: Vibhavadyais tu vatsalyam sthai pushtim upagatah esha vatsalah namatra prokto bhakti raso budhay. When eternally existing love of Godhead transforms into parental love and is mixed with corresponding emotions. That stage of spiritual existence is described by learned devotees as Vatsalya Bhakti Rasa. Madhura Bhakti Rasa is described in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 3.5.1 as follows: Atmo Chittair Vibhavadayeh Pushtim Nita Satamriti Madhurakyo Bhaved Bhakti Raso Sao Madhura Ratih. If in accordance with one's own natural development in Krishna consciousness, one's attraction leans toward conjugal love within the heart, that is called attachment in conjugal love or Madhura Rasa. Verse 186. Hasyo adbhutas tatha viraha karuno rodra iti api bhayankah sa vibhatsa iti gaunash cha saptadha. Besides the 5 direct mellows, there are 7 indirect mellows known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, and fear. And the purport is, this verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 2.5.116. Verse 187. Hasyat bhuta veera karuna rautra vibhatsa bhaya pancha vidha bhakti gona sapta rasa haya. In addition to the 5 direct mellows, there are 5 indirect mellows known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, and fear. Purport: similarly, Hasya, Adbhut, Veera, Karuna, Raudra, Bhaya, Vibhatsa, the 7 indirect mellows are explained in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. The Hasya Bhakti laughing devotion is explained as follows in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.1.6. Vaksha maner vibhavadyeh pushtim hasaratirgata Hasya Bhakti raso nama buddhair esha nigadyate. When through devotional service a laughing attachment to Krishna is developed, it is called Hasya Bhakti Rasa by learned scholars. Similarly, Adbhut Rasa is described in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.2.1. Atmo chittair vibha vadyeh swadyatam bhakta chetasi sa vishamay ratir nitad bhuta bhakti raso bhavet. When one's general attachment is fixed in wonder, it is called Adbhut Bhakti Rasa. Veera Bhakti Rasa is described as follows. This is in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.3.1. Saivot saha ratihi sthai vibhavadyera nijot chittah aniyamana swadhyatvam veera bhakti raso bhavet yuddha idana daya dharmesh chaturdha veera uchyate. When attachment to Krishna mixes with the bellicose tendency, the charitable tendency or the merciful tendency in the heart of the devotee, such devotion is called Veera Bhakti Rasa. Karuna Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.4.1. Atmo chitter vibhavadyer nita pushtin satamriti bhavech choka ratir bhakti raso hi karunat vihi. When one's devotional service, attitude and attachment for Krishna is mixed with lamentation, it's called Karuna Bhakti Rasa. Similarly, Raudra Bhakti Rasa is described in PRS Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.5.1. Nita Krodha Rati Pushtim Vibha Vadyer Nijo Chitay Driti Bhakta Janasyasav Raudra Bhakti Raso Bhavet. When devotion is mixed with anger in the heart of the devotee, the taste is called Raudra Bhakti Rasa. Bhayanak Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.6.1. Vaksha maner vibhava vadeh pushtim bhairatir gata bhayanaka bito bhakti raso dhirer udhiryate. When one's devotion is mixed with fear, it is called Bhayanak Bhakti Rasa. Vibhatsa Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 4.7.1. Pushtim Naja Vibha Vadyer Jugupsa Ratir Agata Asau Bhakti Raso Dhirer Vibhatsakhya Itiryate. When one's attachment for Krishna develops in an abominable way and the devotee enjoys it, it is called Vibhitsal Bhakti Rasa. In conclusion, when a pure devotee situated in any of the 5 principal mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya or Madhur, and that mellow is mixed with one or more of the 7 indirect Bhakti Rasas, Hasya, Adbhut, Veer, Karuna, Rodra, Bhayanak or Bibitsa. The indirect mellows become prominent. Verse 188. Pancharasa sthai vyapi rahe bhakt mane sapta gauna agantuka paiye karane. The 5 direct transcendental mellows or devotional service are permanently situated in the heart of the devotee, whereas the 7 indirect emotions appear suddenly under certain conditions and appear more powerful. Verse 189. Shanta Bhakta Nava Yogendra Sanakadi Ar Dasya Bhava Bhakta Sarvatra Sevak Apar. Examples of Shanta Bhakta are the 9 Yogendras and the 4 Kumars. Examples of devotees in Dasya Bhakti are innumerable, for such devotees exist everywhere. Purport: the 9 Yogendras are Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabuddha, Pipalyayana, Avirhotra, Dravid or Drumila, Chamsa and Karabhajana. The 4 Kumars are Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar and Sanatan. The servant devotees in Gokul are Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak and so on. In Dwarka there are servants like Daruk, and in the Lord's pastime in the material world there are servants like Hanuman. Verse 190. Sakhya Bhakta Śrīdāmādi Pure Bhimarjuna Vatsalya Bhakta Mata Pita Yata Gurujana. In Vrindavan, examples of devotees in fraternity are Sridhama and Sudam. In Dwarka, the Lord's friends are Bhima and Arjun. In Vrindavan, the devotees in parental love are Mother Yashoda and Father Nanda Maharaj. And in Dwarka, the Lord's parents are Vasudeva and Devaki. And there are also other superior persons who are devotees in the parental love. For example, Rohini. Verse number 191. Madhur Rase Bhakta Mukhe Vraja Gopi Nand Gana Mahishi Gana Lakshmi Gana Asankhya Ganana. The chief devotees in conjugal love are the gopis in Vrindavan, the queens in Dwarka, and the goddesses of fortune in Vaikuntha. These devotees are innumerable. Verse 192. Punaha Krishna Rati Haya Duita Prakara Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Kevala Bheda Ara. Attachment for Krishna is divided into 2 categories. One is attachment with awe and reverence, and the other is pure attachment without reverence. Verse 193. Gokule Kevala Rati Aishwarya Jnana Hina Puri Dvaye Vaikuntyade Vaishwarya Pravina. Pure attachment without reverence is found in Gokul, Vrindavan. Attachment in which awe and reverence are prominent is found in the 2 cities, Mathura and Dwarka, and in Vaikuntha. Verse number 194. Aishwarya Jnana Pradhanya Sankuchita Priti Dekhiya Namane Aishwarya Kevalar Riti. When opulence is very prominent, love of Godhead is somewhat crippled according to Kevala devotion. However, even though the devotees see the unlimited potency of Krishna, he considers himself equal to him. Verse 195. Shanta Dasya Rase Aishwarya Kahan Udipana Vatsalya Sakhya Madhureta Kare Sankochana. On the transcendental platform of neutrality and service, sometimes the opulence of the Lord is prominent, but in the transcendental mellows of fraternal, parental and conjugal love, the opulence is minimized. Verse 196. Vasudeva Devakira Krishna Charana Vandila Aishwarya Jnane Dunhara Mane Bhai Haila. When Krishna offered prayers to at the lotus feet of his mother and father, Vasudeva and Devaki, they both felt awe, reverence and fear due to knowledge of his opulence. Verse 197. Devaki Vasudeva Vascha Vijnaya Jagad Ishwarau Krita Sambandanau Putrau Sas Vajate Nas Shankitau. When Devaki and Vasudeva understood that their 2 sons, Krishna and Balaram, who had paid obeisances to them, But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they became fearful and did not embrace them. But this verse is quoted from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.44.51, describes what happened after the killing of Kamsa by Krishna and Balaram. Vasudeva and Devaki saw their son kill the powerful demon Kamsa, and after this they were immediately released from the shackles. Balaram and Krishna then offered respects to Devaki and Vasudeva. Both the father and mother wanted to embrace their sons, but they understood that Krishna and Balaram were the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they therefore hesitated to embrace them. Their parental love for Krishna and Balaram was therefore hampered and decreased by awe and reverence. Verse 198, Krishnera Vishwarupa Dekhi Arjunera Haila Bhaya Sakhya Bhave Dharishtya Kshamapya Kariya Vinaya. When the Krishna manifested his universal form, Arjun became reverent and fearful, and he begged forgiveness for his past impudence towards Krishna as a friend. Verses 199 and 200. Sakheti matva prasabhavam yat uktam he Krishna he yadava he sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavetam maya pramadat pranayena vapi yach java saratham asat krito asi vihara shayyasana bhojaneshu eko atha vapi achyut tat samaksham tat kshamaye tvam aham aprameyam. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we were relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Purport: this is a quotation from Bhagavad-Gita 11.41 and 4.2. In this verse, Arjun is addressing Krishna, who is exhibiting his universal form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Verse 201. Krishna yadi rukminere kaila parihasa Krishna chadi bena jani rukminera haila trasa. Although Krishna was joking with Queen Rukmini, she was thinking that he was going to give up her company, and she was therefore shocked. Verse 202. Tasya sudukha bhaya shoka vinasta buddhir hastach chalatad valayato vyajanam papat dehascha viklava dhiyah sahasaiva muhyan rambheva vata vehata prakirya keshan. While Krishna was joking with Rukmini in Dwarka, she was full of distress, fear and lamentation. She had also lost her intelligence. She dropped her hand bangles and the fan she was using to fan the Lord. Her hair became disarrayed and she fainted and fell suddenly, appearing like a banana tree knocked down by high winds. Purport: this verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.60.24 refers to Krishna speaking to Rukmini in his bedroom. Just to test her sincerity, he began to joke with her, presenting himself as a poor, incapable and unfit to be a lover. Not understanding that he was joking, Rukmini took him seriously and thought that he wanted to leave her company. This misunderstanding made her very unhappy and her whole body was affected. Her fan and bangles fell to the ground and she also fell down like a banana tree knocked down by high winds. Verse 203. Kevala ra shuddha prema aishwarya na jane aishwarya dekhielio nija sambandha samane. In the stage of Kevala, or the unalloyed devotion, a devotee does not consider the unlimited opulence of Krishna. Even though he experiences it, he takes seriously only his own relationship with Krishna. When a devotee reaches the stage of pure unalloyed devotion, especially in friendship with Krishna, he forgets the Lord's opulences. Although he sees them and he considers himself equal to Krishna. There is no question of actually comparing oneself to Krishna. But because the devotee is so advanced in Krishna consciousness, he is able to behave with Krishna as he would with an ordinary man. Verse 204. Trayaya Chopanishadbhischa Sankhya Yogescha Sattvatehe upagiyamana mahatmayam harim samanyatatmajam. When Mother Yashoda saw all the universes within Krishna's mouth, she was astonished. For this time being, the Lord is worshipped like Indra and other demigods by the followers of three Vedas who offer him sacrifices. He is worshipped as impersonal Brahman by saintly persons who understand his greatness through studying the Upanishads, as the Purans by the great philosophers who analytically study the universe, as the all-pervading supersoul by the great yogis, and as the supreme personality of Godhead by devotees. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda considered the Lord by her own son. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.45. This is the first part. Those who are spiritually advanced forget Krishna's opulence by the mercy of Yogamaya. For instance, Mother Yashoda considered Krishna as an ordinary child. Verse 205. Tam matvatmajam avyaktam martyalingam adokshajam gopiko lukhale damana babandha prakritam yatha. Although Krishna is beyond sense perception and is unmanifest to human beings, he takes up the guise of a human being with a material body. Thus Mother Yashoda thought him to be her son, and she found Lord Krishna with rope to a wooden mortar as if he were an ordinary child. Purport: this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.14 is in reference to Lord Krishna exhibiting himself like an ordinary child before Mother Yashoda. He was playing like a naughty boy, stealing butter and breaking butter pots. Mother Yashoda became disturbed and wanted to bind the Lord to a mortar used for pounding spices. In other words, she considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an ordinary child. Verse 206. Uvaha Krishna Bhagavan Shridamanam Parajitah Vrishbham Bhadrasena Stu Pralambo Rohini Sutam. When Krishna was defeated by Shridam, he had to carry him on his shoulder. Similarly, Bhadrasen carried Vrishabha and Pralamba carried Balram, the son of Rohini. Purport: this verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.18.2. For when all the cowherd boys were playing in the forest of Vrindavan, the demon Pralambasur appeared in order to kidnap Krishna and Balram. The Asura appeared disguised in the form of a cowherd boy, but Krishna could understand his trick. Krishna therefore divided all the cowherd boys into two parties. One party belonged to Balram, and another party belonged to Krishna himself. Ultimately, Krishna was defeated in this play, and according to the wager, the defeated party had to carry the victorious party on their shoulders. Krishna had to carry Shridam on his shoulders, and Bhadrasen had to carry Vrishab. The demon Pralambasur had to carry Balram, and when Balram mounted his shoulders, the demon ran far away. Finally, the demon began to expand his body to a gigantic size, and Balram understood that he intended to kill him. Balram immediately struck the demon's head with his strong fist, and the demon fell down dead as if he were a snake whose head had been smashed. Verses 207 to 209. Sa cha mene tadatmanam varishtham sarvayoshitam hitva gopi kamayana mam asau bhajate priyah tato gatva vanodadesham dripta keshavam abravit na paraye ham chalitum nay mam yatrate manah evam uktah priyam aha skandham aruyatam iti tatash chantar dadhe Krishna sa vadhur anvatpayata. My dear most Krishna, you are worshipping me and giving up the company of all the gopis who wanted to enjoy themselves with you. Thinking like this, Srimati Radharani considered herself Krishna's most beloved gopi. She had become proud and had left the Rasa Leela with Krishna in deep forest. She said, My dear Krishna, I cannot walk away anymore. You can take me wherever you like. When Srimati Radharani petitioned Krishna in this way, Krishna said, Just get up on my shoulders. As soon as Srimati Radharani began to do so, he disappeared. Srimati Radharani then began to grieve over her request and Krishna's disappearance. Purport: these three verses are quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.30.36 to 38. Verse 210. Pati Sutanvaya Bhratir Bandhavan Ati Vilanghete Ante Achita Gataha Gati Vidastavod Gita Mohita Kitva Yoshita Kasteji Nishi. Dear Krishna, we gopis have neglected the orders of our husbands, sons, family, brothers, and friends and have left their company to come to you. You know everything about our desires. We have come only because we are attracted by the supreme music of your flute. But you are a great cheater, for who else would give up the company of young girls like us in the dead of night? Purport: this verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.31.16 describes how the gopis went to the forest for Krishna's enjoyment in the dead of night. The gopis approached Krishna to enjoy themselves with him in the rasa dance. Krishna knew this very well, but he was superficially trying to avoid them. He is therefore addressed by the gopis as Kitva, a great cheater, because he first attracted them to come to dance with him. And yet when they actually came, neglecting the orders of their friends and relatives, he tried to avoid them by giving them so-called instructions. These cunning instructions were too much for the gopis to tolerate. They therefore had the right to address Krishna as Kitva, a great cheater. They were all young girls and they had come to him to be enjoyed. How could he avoid them? The gopis therefore expressed great disappointment in this verse. They came voluntarily, but Krishna was so cunning that he wanted to avoid their company. The gopis' lamentation was certainly very appropriate, and in this way Krishna tested their sincerity. Verse 211. Shantarase Swarupa Buddhe Krishnaika Nishtata Samo Mana Nishtata Buddhe Iti Shri Mukha Gatha. When one is fully attached to Krishna's lotus feet, one attains this Shamata stage. The word Shamata is derived from the word Shama. Therefore, Shantarasa, the position of neutrality, means being fully attached to the lotus feet. Sorry, it should be read as Shanta stage, not Shamata. I think it is Shamata. Derived from the word Sama. Therefore, Shantarasa, the position of neutrality, means being fully attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. This is the verdict from the mouth of Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. This state is called self-realization. So when one is fully attached to the lotus feet, one attains the Shamata stage. Therefore, Shantarasa is fully attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport: the corresponding verse from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 3.1.47 follows. Verse 212. Shama man nishata budher iti Shri Bhagavat Vachaha tan nishtha durgata budher etam shantaratim vina. These are the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one's intelligence is fully attached to my lotus feet, but one does not render practical service, one has attained the stage called Shantarati or Shama. Without Shantarati, attachment to Krishna is very difficult to achieve. Verse 213 of the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila. Shama man nishtata buddher dama indriye samyamaha titiksha dukha samarsho jivo pastha jayo dritihi. The word Shama or Shantaras indicates that one is attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. Dhamma means controlling and the senses and not being deviated from the Lord's service. Enduring of unhappiness is the Diksha. And Dhriti means controlling the tongue and the genitals. Purport: this verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.19.36. The conditioned soul under the clutches of Maya, the material energy, is very much agitated by the urges of the tongues and the genitals. Control of the urges of the tongue, the belly and the genitals, which are situated in the straight line, is called Dhriti. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Tara madhye jiva ati lobhamai sudurmati. Among the senses, the tongue is the most formidable enemy of the conditioned soul. Urged by the tongue, one commits many sinful activities. Although Krishna has given human beings nice food, people still commit sins by killing poor animals for the satisfaction of the tongue, not being able to control the tongue. The conditioned soul eats more than he needs. Of course, everyone must eat to keep the body fit for the Lord's service, but when cannot control the senses, he falls victim to the dictations of the tongue and the belly. Naturally, genital agitation follows, and one seeks illicit relationships. However, if one is fixed at the lotus feet of Lord, he can control the tongue. Bhaktivinoda Thakur further states, Krishna bada dayamay Kari bare jiva jai swaprasad anna dila bhai. In order to conquer the tongue, Krishna has been very merciful and has given us nice food that has been offered to him. When a person is attached to Krishna's lotus feet, he does not eat anything not offered to Krishna. Se anamrita khao, Radha Krishna gunagao, preme dako chaitanya nitaye. Since a devotee eats only prasadam, he conquers the dictations of the tongue, belly and genitals. One can control the dictates of the senses when situated in the position of Shantarasa. Then one's advancement in Krishna consciousness is assured. So I've learned today that I've been saying Taramati Jiva Ati Lobamai Shudramati. It is actually Lobamoy Sudurmati. So sometimes you just keep saying the same thing without even checking the right pronunciation, because this is how you heard first. 2.14, verse number 214. Krishna Vina Trishna Tyaga Tar Karya Mani Ateva Shanta Krishna Bhakta Eka Jani. Giving up all the desires not connected with Krishna is the business of one who is in Shantarasa. Only a devotee of Krishna can be situated on that platform. He is thus called Shantarasa Bhakta. Purport: in this position one is freed from all material enjoyments. When one is not agitated or disturbed, he can immediately realize his relationship with Krishna. A Shantarasa devotee is therefore always fixed in realization. This instruction was given by the Lord himself to Uddhav. The beginning of pure devotional service is called Anyabhilashita Shunya. When one is situated on the platform of neutrality, he is freed from the material platform and fully situated in spiritual life. The word Dhamma used in verse 213 means Indriya Samyama, curbing one's senses. The word Dhamma also means curbing one's enemies. A king has to take steps to curb the criminal activities of his citizens. Great Rajarishis, devotee kings, and used to control undesirable elements in their states, and this also may be called Dhamma. However, Dhamma here refers to the conditioned soul who must control his senses. Real Dhamma means controlling the undesirable activities of the senses. Verse 215. Swarga Moksha Krishna Bhakta Naraka Kari Mane Krishna Nishtha Trishna Tyaga Shantera Dui Gune. When a devotee is situated on the platform of Shantarasa, he desires neither elevation to the heavenly planets nor liberation. These are the results of karma gyan, and the devotee considers them no better than hell. A person situated on the Shantarasa platform manifests the two transcendental qualities of detachment from all the material desires and full attachment to Krishna. Verse 216. Narayana Parah Sarve Na Kutaschana Bibhyati Swarga Pavarga Narkeshva Api Tulyartha Darshinaha. A person who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, is not afraid of anything. Elevation to the heavenly kingdom, condemnation of hell, and liberation from the material bondage all appear the same to a devotee. Purport: this verse is quoted from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Elevation to the heavenly planets, liberation from material bondage, and condemnation to hell are all equal to the devotee. The devotee's only desire is to be attached to the lotus feet of Krishna and to engage in his transcendental loving service. Verse 217. Eidui guna vyape sabha bhakta jane Akashera Shabda Guna Yena Bhuta Gane. These two qualities of the Shantarasa spread throughout the lives of the devotees. They are like qualities of sound in the sky. Sound vibration is found in all material elements. Purport: the two qualities of Shantaras mentioned in verse 215 are present in all kinds of devotees, whether they are in Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsaliras, or Madhuras. The example of sound is given herein. Sound not only exists in the sky or ether, but is also present in air, fire, water, and earth. This is scientific explanation of devotional service. Just as sound is present in all material elements, the qualities found in Shantarasa are present in all devotees, whether they are on the platform of Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsaliras, or Madhuras. Verse 218. Shantira Swabhava Krishne Mamata Gandhahina Param Brahma Paramatma Jnana Pravina. It is the nature of Shantaras that not even the smallest intimacy exists. Rather, knowledge of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma is prominent. Purport. Because of an impersonal impression of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee is in the Shantarasa relationship, worships the impersonal Brahman or localized aspect of the Absolute Truth, Paramatma. He does not develop a personal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Verse 219. Kevalo Sarupa Jnana Haya Shantarase Purnaishwarya Prabhu Jnana Adhikhaya Dasya. On the platform of Shanta Rasa, one realizes only his constitutional position, but when one is raised to the platform of Dasyaras, he better understands the full opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 220. Ishware Jnana Sambrahma Gaurava Prachura Seva Kari Krishna Sukha Dena Nirantara. On the Dasya platform, knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed with awe and veneration by rendering service unto the Lord Krishna. The devotee in Dasya Ras gives constant happiness to the Lord. Verse 221. Shantera Guna Dasya Ache Adhika Sevana Ateva Dasya Rasira Eidui Guna. The qualities of the Shantaras are also present in Dasyaras, but service is added. Thus, the Dasyaras platform contains the qualities of both Shantarasa and Dasyarasa. Verse 222. Shantira Guna Dasyera Sevana Sakhe Duihaya Dasyera Sambrama Gaurava Seva Sakhe Vishvasa Maya. The qualities of Shantarasa and the service of Dasyaras are both present on the platform of Sakyaras. On the platform of fraternity, the qualities of Dasyaras are mixed with the confidence of fraternity instead of awe and veneration. Verse 223. Kandhe Chade Kandhe Chadhaya Kare Krida Rana Krishna Seve Krishna Karaya Apana Sevana. On the Sakyaras platform, the devotee sometimes offer the Lord service and sometimes make Krishna serve him in exchange. In the mock fighting, the cowherd boys would sometimes climb on Krishna's shoulders and sometimes they would make Krishna climb on their shoulders. Verse 224. Vishrambha Pradhana Sakhya Gaurava Sambrahma Hina Ataev Sakhya Rasera Tina Guna Chihna. Awe and veneration are absent on the platform of fraternity since this rasa is predominated by confidential service. Therefore, Sakyaras is characterized by the qualities of three rasas. Verse 225. Mamata Adhika Krishna Atma Samagyana Ataev Sakya Rasera Vasha Bhagavana. On the platform of Sakyaras, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is controlled by the devotees who are intimate with him and think themselves equal to him. Verse 226. Vatsalya Shantera Guna Dasyera Sevana Se Swanera Ihan Nama Palana. On the platform of parental love, the qualities of Shantaras, Dasyaras and Sakyaras are transformed into a form of service called maintenance. Verse 227. Sakhera Guna Asankocha Agorava Sar Mamata Dhikye Tadana Bhartsana Vyavahara. The essence of fraternal love is intimacy devoid of the formality and veneration found in Dasyaras. Due to greater sense of intimacy, the devotee functioning in a parental love chastises and rebukes the Lord in an ordinary way. Verse 228. Apanare Palaka Jnana Krishna Palaya Jnane Chari Gune Vatsalya Rasa Amrita Saman. On the platform of parental love, the devotee considers himself the Lord's maintainer, thus the Lord is the object of maintenance like a sun, and therefore this mellow is full of qualities of four rasas: Shantarasa, Dasyaras, fraternity and parental love. This is more transcendental nectar. Purport in his Amrit Prabha Bhashya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a short summary of this complicated description of the different rasas. He states that by becoming firmly fixed in the Lord's service, one is devoid of all material desires. These are the two transcendental qualities of the Shantaras platform. Just as sound vibration is found in all the material elements, these two qualities of Shantaras are spread throughout all the other transcendental mellows, which are known as Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalaras and Madhuras. Although in Shantaras there are attachment for Krishna and awe and veneration, since the two valuable transcendental qualities of the rasa are attachment for Krishna and detachment from material desires, nonetheless the sense of intimacy is lacking. The reason for this is that in Shantaras attachment for impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma is prominent. In other words, the sense of intimacy by which one thinks of Krishna as one's only shelter and friend is absent in Shantaras, because one accepts Krishna as the impersonal Parabrahma or localized Paramatma. This understanding is based on the speculative knowledge of the Jnani. However, when this knowledge is further developed, one is convinced that the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, is the Master and that the living entity is his eternal servant. One then attains the platform of Dasiras. In Dasiras, the Lord is accepted with awe and veneration. Thus, the active service that is absent in Shantaras becomes prominent in Dasiras. In other words, in Dasiras, the qualities of Shantaras are present, and service also becomes predominantly visible. Similarly, when this same rasa is developed into fraternity Sakyaras, a friendly intimacy is added. There is no or veneration in Sakyaras, therefore Sakyaras is invested with the qualities of three rasas, Shanta, Dasya and Sakya. Similarly, on the platform of parental love, the qualities of Shanta, Dasya and Sakyaras are fully developed in another form, the sense of maintaining the Lord. Therefore, on the platform of parental love, there exists a combination of the qualities of four transcendental mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya and parenthood. The mellow of parenthood puts the devotee in the position of a maintainer. Indeed, without formality, the devotee takes the position of maintainer and regards the Lord as the object of maintenance. Thus, on the platform of parental love, the qualities of four transcendental mellows of love of Krishna are present. Verse 229 say, Amritanande Bhakta Saha Dubena Apane Krishna Bhakta Vasha Guna Kahe Aishwarya Jnani Gane. The exchange of spiritual happiness between Krishna and his devotees, in which Krishna is controlled by his devotees, compared to an ocean of nectar into which the devotee and Krishna plunge. This is the verdict of learned scholars who appreciate Krishna's opulence. Verse 230 Iti Drik Swalila Vir Ananda Kunde Swaghosham Nimajantam Akhyapayantam Tadiye Shitage Shubhaktir Jitatvam Punha Prematastam Shatavriti Vande. This is part of the Gopī-Gīta, this verse from Canto 10. Again, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, O my Lord. I offer my obeisances hundreds and thousands of times with all affection, because by your personal pastimes you plunged the gopis into ocean of nectar. Appreciating your opulences, devotees generally declare that you are always subjugated by their feelings. Purport: this verse is from Damodarashtaka in the Padma Puran. Sorry, not the Gopī-Gīta. I just said this is from Damodarashtaka and it's from the Padma Puran. Verse 231 Madhur Rase Krishna Nishtha Seva Atishay Sakhera Asankocha Lalana Mamata Dhikay Haya. On the platform of conjugal love, attachment for Krishna, rendering service unto him, the relaxed feelings of fraternity and the feelings of maintenance all increase in intimacy. Verse 232 Kanta Bhave Nijang Diya Karena Sevana Ataev Madhur Rasera Haya Panchaguna. On the platform of conjugal love, the devotee offers his body to the service of the Lord. Thus, on this platform, the transcendental qualities of all five rasas are present. Purport: attachment for Krishna in Shantaras, rendering service to the Lord in Dasya rasa, rendering relaxed service in fraternity, and serving in parental love with feelings of maintenance, all combine on the platform of conjugal love. When the devotee wants to serve the Lord by offering him his personal body, thus the qualities of other rasas combine to form the nectar of conjugal love. On this platform, all different feelings of devotee are amalgamated. So as the rasas progress, the qualities of the previous rasa is also present in the higher rasa. Verse 233 Akashadi Guna Yena Parapara Bhute Ek Dui Tina Chari Krame Pancha Prithivite. All the material qualities evolve one after another in the material elements, beginning from ether by gradual evolution. First one quality develops, then two qualities develop, then three, then four, until all five qualities are found in earth. Verse 234. Ei mata madhure sab bhav samhar ataiva aswadhai ke kare chamatkar. Similarly, on the platform of conjugal love, all the feelings of the devotees are amalgamated. The intensified taste is certainly wonderful. Verse 235. E bhakti rasera karilan digdarshana ihara vistara mane kariha bhavana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then concluded, I have simply given a general survey describing the mellows of devotional service. You can consider how to adjust and expand this. Verse 236. Bhavite bhavite Krishna sfuraye antare Krishna kripaye ajna paye rasa sindhu pare. When one thinks of Krishna constantly, love for him manifests within his heart. Even though one may be ignorant, one can reach the far shore of the ocean of transcendental love by Krishna's mercy. Verse 237. Eta bali prabhu tanre kaila alingana varanasi chalibare prabhura haila mana. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī. The Lord then decided to go to the city of Benares. Verse 238. Prabhate utiya yabe karila gamana tabe tanra pade Rūpa kare nivedana. The next morning, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arose and prepared to leave for Varanasi, that is Benares, Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī submitted the following statement at the Lord's lotus feet. Verse 239. Ajna haya asi muni shri charana sange sahite na pari muni viraha tarange. If you give me permission, I shall go with your lordship. It is not possible for me to tolerate the waves of separation. Verse 240. Prabhu kahe tomar kartavya amar vachana nikate asiyacha tumi yaha Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your duty is to carry out my order. You have come near Vrindavan, now you should go there. Verse 241. Vrindavan haite tumi gauda desh diya amare miliba nila chalete asiya. Later on, you can go from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri through Bengal Gauradesh. From there, you will meet me again. Verse 242. Tanre alingiya prabhu nokate chadila murchita hena tenhom tahani padila. After embracing Rūpa Gosvāmī, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got into a boat. Rūpa Gosvāmī fainted and fell down on the spot. Verse 243. Dakshinayatya vipra tanre ghare lena gela tabe dui bhai Vrindavanere Chalila. The Brahmins from Deccan took Rūpa Gosvāmī to his home, and thereafter the two brothers departed for Vrindavan. Verse 244. Mahaprabhu chali chali aila Varanasi Chandrasekhar milila gramera bahire asi. After walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived at Varanasi. There he met Chandrasekhar, who was coming out of the city. Verse 245. Ratre tenho swapn dekhe prabhu aila ghare pratah kale asi rahe gramera bahire. In a dream, Chandrasekhar had seen that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to his home. Therefore, in the morning, Chandrasekhar went outside the city to receive the Lord. Verse 246. Achambite prabhu dekhi charane padila anandita hena nijagrihe lena gela. While Chandrasekhar was waiting outside the city, he suddenly saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived, and he fell down at the Lord's feet. Being very happy, he took the Lord to his home. Verse 247. Tapan Mishra Shuni Asi Prabhura Milla Ishta Goshti Kari Prabhura Nimantrana Kaila. Tapan Mishra also heard news of the Lord's arrival in Varanasi, and he went to Chandrasekhar's house to meet him. After talking, he invited the Lord to take lunch at his place. Verse 248. Nija Ghare Lena Prabhure Bhiksha Karaila Bhattacharya Chandrasekhar Nimantrana Kaila. Tapan Mishra took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house and gave him lunch. Chandrasekhar invited Balbhadra Bhattacharya to take lunch at his home. Verse 249. Bhiksha Karana Mishra kahe Prabhu paya dhari ek bhiksha magi more deha kripa kari. After offering lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tapan Mishra begged a favor from the Lord and requested him to award him mercy. Verse 250. Yavat tomar haya kashi pure sthiti mora ghara vina bhiksha na kariba kati. Tapan Mishra said, as long as your lordship stay in Varanasi, please do not accept an invitation from anyone but me. Verse 251, Prabhu janena dina pancha sata sat rahe se rahiba sannyasar sira sange bhiksha kaha na kariba. It was known to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he would remain there only 5 or 7 days. He would not accept any invitation that involved Mayavadi sannyasis. Verse 252, Eta jani tanra bhiksha kaila angikar vasanishta kaila chandrasekhera ghara. With this understanding, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to accept lunch at the place of Tapan Mishra. The Lord made his residence at the home of Chandrasekhar. Verse 253, Maharashtriya Vipra Asi Tanhare Milila Prabhu Tanre Sneha Kari Kripa Prakashila. The Maharashtrian Brahman came and the Lord met him. Out of affection, the Lord bestowed his mercy upon him. Verse 254, Mahaprabhu Aila Shuni Shishta Jana Brahmana Kshatriya Asi Karena Darshana. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come, all the respectable members of the Brahman and Kshatriya communities came to see him. Verse 255, Shri Rūpa Upare Prabhura Yata Kripa Haila Atyanta Vistara Katha Sankshepe Kahila. Much mercy was then bestowed upon Shri Rūpa Gosvāmī, and I have briefly described all these topics. Verse 256, Shraddha kariye katha sune ye jane prema bhakti paaye se chaitanya charane. Whoever hears this narration with faith and love certainly develops love of God at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 257, Shri Rūpa Raghunath Pade Yar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rūpa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit following in their footsteps. Purport: thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Lila, 19th chapter, describing the Lord's instructions to Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī at Prayag in the science of devotional service. So next time we will begin chapter number 20 of the Madhya Lila. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami in the science of the absolute truth. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. And of course, today is Nityananda Triyodashi in India. So many good wishes to all of you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.